use all kinds of words to express greetings such as hi, hello, and howdy. You should have seen me in my heyday. I imagine that the person who came up with constellations would have loved to connect the dots. I can physically feel my confidence leaving my body. There was a murder at a sarong company. Police suspect it was a cover-up. I saw a jacket today that said the North Face on the front and the back, and I don't know what to believe anymore. I shopped all day for haunted houses, but nothing jumped out at me. I argue with a guy who thinks it's okay to take as much plasticware and napkins as he wants from a restaurant, but I think he was grasping at straws. If I had a dime for every time I miscalculated my wealth, I'd have a nickel. I don't like hearing about court trials. I'm case sensitive. I tried to figure out who broke my phone protector. I was determined to crack the case. I bought a Nike dry fit shirt that was probably made in a sweatshop. I have a memory foam mattress topper, and memory foam pillow, and I still can't remember my dreams in the morning. As a rule of thumb, I don't pick up hitchhikers. I saw an injured hitchhiker who stuck out like a sore thumb. The guy I was watching was terrible at it. He was all thumbs. I know a plastic surgeon and a tattoo artist who exchanged services. It was tit for tat. I feel like a little kid when I get flossed at the dentist, although I love to pick a sticker when it's all over. Kind of like how I feel like a little kid when a waiter puts pepper or cheese on my food. Or how I feel like a little kid when a bathroom attendant is wiping my tush. Oh, they aren't supposed to do that? I was going to go to Foxwoods, but it wasn't in the cards. Every time I learn of another old wives' tale, the hair on my palm stands up. I couldn't stop my friend from smoking up, but at least I got him to quit drinking. I had to leave him high and dry. I was going to buy some manure, but the manager kept giving me crap. The doctor who did my colonoscopy wasn't great. You never know who you're going to get. It's a crapshoot. One day I was wearing a Casio, Fossil, and a Rolex all at the same time. I realized I have way too much time on my hands. I was trying to keep up with the latest fashion in earrings, but apparently I'm out of the loop. I saw two camel photos that were spitting images of each other. I returned an item at the intimate apparel store. I was bringing sexy back. I argued with the man interviewing me for a janitorial position. He mopped the floor with me. A paper store employee reamed me out. I just found out they're opening up a paper source near me. I guess I didn't get the memo. If they have an overstock of product, they will really be pushing the envelope. And other supplies. The store is run by a couple of undergraduates. It's college ruled. Puns about stationery are made up of my favorite letters. I heard a speech by the president of Dixon Ticonderoga. It was on point. If Alfred Dreyfus had extramarital relations, people wouldn't know which Dreyfus affair was being referred to. My new chapstick is the bomb. I'm one bad set away from starting a podcast. I received a nasty letter from the guy who created Magic Eye posters, but I might be reading into it. You're probably starting to notice a pattern here. I went to an interracial event. It was a black tie affair. I had a dream where a zombie was giving me the cold shoulder. I don't think I'll speak with him again. He's dead to me. I pleaded with an employee at Bed Bath & Beyond for some free stuff until he threw in the towel. I have the stage presence of someone waiting at the DMV. I looked in many stores for a down comforter. It was a wild goose chase. Nothing says healthy self-esteem like needing validation from 80 strangers. I like shopping for gloves after the holidays. I always get the 5-finger discount. Statistically, one of these has to work. I inquired about the best way to put on sweaters, and an employee tried to pull the wool over my eyes. I went to a party with a bunch of architects. They kept talking about raising the roof, even before the music began. I had the chance to meet Buzz Aldrin. He was a very down-to-earth kind of guy. Okay, there it is. You got this, big guy. A disgruntled UPS employee brought me a terrible book of jokes. Must have been the delivery. The UPS guy always arrives on time and is courteous. This guy is the full package. People who think that fear is a good laxative scare the shit out of me. I went to my job and found a strongbox with a note on it that said, "This is not safe for work." I can't stand hypocrites, but I like most of them. Thank you, crickets. If it weren't for you, I'd be the only one making noise in this room. I didn't shower for a few days and then went to Bath and Body Works and passed gas. I thought I'd add my 2 cents. My friend may have bought the last loofah, but he didn't have to rub it in my face. The first joke was decent, but I prefer the lather. My new line of scratch and sniff playing cards is coming out soon. He who smelt it, dealt it. Or maybe I should go with scratch and sniff shirts. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I'm not a big fan of shirts with alligators on them. I may be Lacoste intolerant. When I can't find my shirt, I yell, "Marco! Polo!" I know a custodian at the casino who really cleaned up at the blackjack table. The custodian wasn't very good at cleaning up. He was happy to let the chips fall where they may, and then leave them there. Did I really just make a casino joke? You bet I did. I took a real gamble on that one. I suppose a masochist in a casino could get into financial trouble if he keeps telling people to hit me. I saw online there is a Crimea River. Is this river the muse for the Justin Timberlake song? My luck is so bad that I inhaled secondhand smoke from a guy who only had one arm. A watchmaker's son was misbehaving, so he was put in a timeout. If confidence is key, I brought the wrong keys. I investigated some items that went missing from my luggage. It was an open and shut case. I have a lot of jokes like these. I come with a lot of baggage. I saw a mime win a silent auction. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. A mime was giving me the silent treatment, and I didn't know for months. I knew a claustrophobic mime who refused to do the trapped in a box routine. This may be the dumbest thing I've ever said. What does it mean to be a mute? I thought you'd never ask. The valedictorian and class clown at mime school were one and the same. When I saw the cost of mime school, I was at a loss for words. When they make a movie about mimes, does the director yell, "Quiet on the set"? Mimes need to study many years to get good at their craft. I think that goes without saying. I bought an inversion table online, but they got my order backwards. Now I'm all turned around and I don't know which way is up. Our first comedian finds enjoyment in burning calories. I hope you are all as pumped as I am. Here is Jack Tupp. If you want a good sneaker, buy Converse. If you buy Converse, you want a good sneaker. But don't flip your Converse inside out, because then you'll have the inverse. Growing up, I was so bad at hockey that my quote was, "You miss 100% of the shots you take." Trying to make people laugh seems to be an exercise in futility. I work out religiously. I sit down and just wish my body would be in shape. I like to take my wife's Fitbit at night and walk backwards with it. It doesn't reverse it, but it's my homage to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where putting a car in reverse also wouldn't reverse the mileage. Well, as my dad said right after I was born, they can't all be winners. I tell people my body is a temple, and by that I mean it is ancient and laid to ruins. And although I pray for it to be rebuilt, realistically, it probably won't happen in my lifetime. I knew a pretend bodybuilder. Do I call him a poser? When I saw that a gym called Lifetime has a month membership, I took that as a threat. Some people are going to be rolling on the floor laughing with this, which is really good exercise. I like to tell jokes while stretching my muscles, and if you think I'm funny, I'm just getting warmed up. I know someone who never won first place, but always won a medallion for second place. At least he always saw the silver lining. I heard a bronze medalist speak about himself in the third person. This is somehow less comfortable than my family Thanksgiving. I didn't win the hopscotch championship in my neighborhood. I just know the other shoe will drop. I bought juggling balls shaped like brains so I could throw around a few ideas. I may have been overthinking it. The factory increased production of the balls because they said it was good for brain development. They decided to split the brains in two and sell them separately. They are selling left and right. The balls landed in a pile of excrement. Now I really do have shit for brains. I like to exercise in general, but running is where I put my foot down. I had a serious case of the runs yesterday. 10 miles. I run things fast and loose. I was going to sign up for a human wheelbarrow race, but I was dragging my feet. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step and a Fitbit to track it. I hope the Proclaimers got a Fitbit, hashtag 500 miles. My Fitbit tracker has two-step verification. I'm well on my way. This is what happens when an overthinker gets a microphone. I started talking to a single woman while running a 5K, and things are moving quickly. Someone once asked me how long I've been running. I responded, my therapist would say my whole life. I'm hoping to set a personal record, a PR, in the next run I do. But I may be getting a little ahead of myself. The other day I decided to run my mouth, and I got a PR. I didn't earn the award for jogging to the top of the hill fastest, but I got runner-up. This will be my third year running the Naked Mile. It's my longest streak yet. If the people in charge of charity walks got fired, would they be handed their walking papers? I wonder if Dr. Shaw had an archenemy. One of them will taste defeat. I had to buy some foot arch supports. They were shipped with the flat rate. I've donated to a lot of fundraisers over the years and feared that, in one of life's terrible ironies, what if they discover that walking causes cancer? My sneaker is falling apart. It's on its last leg. I went to buy some new running shoes. I needed to do some soul searching. I asked the shoe salesperson if she wanted to tie the knot. I spent an hour getting ready to disappoint people. I tried running with my phone, but I have butterfingers and had too many dropped calls. There's a card at Hallmark to give to people who run a marathon. I can't believe I pulled the race card. Runners have a one-track mind. Somebody spray-painted words of encouragement on the ground at a race. It's a run-on sentence. Running on a treadmill is beneath me. Recently I found out you need to power up a treadmill. My runs got a lot longer. I tried to get my treadmill repaired, but I keep getting the runaround. I got my poker club to form a running team. We call it Hit and Run. Puns about the Achilles heel are my Achilles heel. I practiced this so many times, my bathroom mirror started heckling me. I knew a race director who made sure there was a special porta potty for VIPs. He was always looking out for number 1 and number 2. Running in the rain is kryptonite to me. And by that, I mean it doesn't affect me because I'm human and kryptonite isn't real. Maybe they're saving all the laughs of the ride home. I thought of doing a New Year's Day race barefoot, but I got cold feet. Every joke is just me asking strangers if I'm okay. If I've read books on running, does that make me a Rhodes Scholar? I went for a jog through a vineyard. I didn't get a personal record, but I think I crushed it. I remember when I used to run with my conjoined twin, and I'd always give him a head start. I always thought a half-brother or sister was if you had a conjoined twin. Or maybe that's a half-self. This is cheaper than therapy. For me. I'm glad that doctors perform surgery for conjoined twins now. Shows you that if you put your heads together, anything is possible. I made a vinyl of my favorite running songs. I have a pretty good track record. This was the first album that ever slipped out of my hands and smashed on the floor. I broke my own record. A hurdler was devastated after falling while running. I told him to get over it. Quick public service announcement. When bystanders pass you something on a popsicle stick while you're running, don't eat it. It's Vaseline. You don't make that mistake 3 times. I may have creeped the guy out when I grabbed 2 of them and told him they were for the after party as I ran off. When I agreed to a Chicago marathon, I thought I was just going to be listening to Then Along Comes a Woman and You're the Inspiration for hours on end. I know a priest who only runs when chased. I wore a red, white, and blue shirt to a race, but I forgot those colors don't run. I ran a race sponsored by Ziploc and Hefty. I had it in the bag. I was so tired when I finished that there were bags under my eyes. I ran a race to raise awareness for alcoholism. It was a dry run. The whole time I was out there, I was looking for a chaser. Instead of receiving a shirt for a race, people should get neckties, because I have always heard that the tie goes to the runner. I drove over 5 miles to go to the walking company. I forgot why I went for a run, so I jogged my memory. I challenged Rachel Dolezal to a race. I'm considering starting a mile walk for charity. At the start, you trade footwear with somebody. At the end, you get to judge them. It will certainly do better than my charity run to raise awareness against robbery. Steps for kleps. I went to run a race in a different state. I had to walk, to drive, to fly, to run. I wish I could have skipped a couple steps. I like to listen to the California Raisins and M&M when I'm hiking. I call it my trail mix. If I'm looking to mix up my mix, I'll throw the cranberries on. And maybe the peanuts theme. All my exercising has taken a toll on my body. You know you're getting old when you reach into your t-shirt drawer and pull out a shirt from a physical therapy business. I see signs everywhere that say love wins. That's true. Except in tennis. When I talk about tennis, I do it loudly. I like to make a racket. I tried playing tennis. Somebody complimented me on my tennis skills. I found it to be a backhanded compliment. I was so excited when I got nothing but net, but everyone was so disappointed in me. I'll never understand this sports stuff. Shouldn't all the parking spaces at a golf course be handicapped? I have more golf puns to make. How many exactly? 4! I was going to go to the gym to do cardio, but decided to do squat. I radiate. Can I squeeze by? Energy. I had a weightlifter for a tenant. This guy turned out to be a squatter. I hired somebody to research the best squatting equipment. I didn't feel like doing the leg work. I never skip leg day at the gym. It should probably come more than once a year though. I always try to find the closest parking space at the gym and go to the gym that has automatic doors. I don't think I'm doing it right. Truthfully, I feel that if you hold the door for somebody at the gym, you're just robbing them of one additional rep. I shut the door abruptly before they reach it and say, "You're welcome." Hashtag we're all in this together. If overthinking burned calories, I'd have abs. I worked out with the conductor of a locomotive. He believes it's always good to train. He said sometimes he goes to the gym to let off a little steam. I need to whip my caboose into shape. I throw 5 pounds on the bench press bar and then say my mantra, I think I can, I think I can. I saw a jump roping class and the place was hopping. I enjoy singing in the shower, but apparently it's frowned upon at the YMCA group shower. I guess I'm the only one who enjoys It's Raining Men. I finally got the beach body I've always wanted. It washed up on the shore. I got a new spotter at the gym. It was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Afterwards, we grabbed a drink. He always lifts my spirits. My membership at LA Fitness cost me an arm and a leg. On the plus side, my lifting days are twice as fast now. There's more than one way to meet my goal weight. I was flattered when the guy at the gym told me I was looking ripped until I realized he meant my gym shorts. This crowd deserves a better comedian. Unfortunately, I'm the one who found parking. I laughed so hard today it hurt my stomach. I'm so out of shape that I'm going to consider that an ab workout. The worst is while you're laughing, you think in your head, oh no, now I'm going to be sore tomorrow. I would have thought to be Mr. Universe you'd need to work out at a Planet Fitness, or at least a World Gym. I saw a sign at the gym that said free weights, so I took them home. I partnered with a friend in opening a gym, but I did all the heavy lifting. I sound more confident in my inner monologue. I should finish the show just talking to myself. After my workout, I had the opportunity to go in a steam room, but responded too late. Another missed opportunity. A bodybuilder bragged to me that his bicep was triangular shaped when he posed. I thought it was a weird flex. I don't recommend you try to eat a medicine ball at the gym. Now that's a hard pill to swallow. In an attempt to come up with creative ideas to cut carbs, I threw spaghetti at the wall to see what would stick. I have the energy of a substitute teacher on a Friday. I wish that losing weight was a piece of cake. My doctor said I didn't need to go on a diet, but I think she was just trying to butter me up. I started chewing my Timex because the dietitian told me to watch what I eat. I knew an in-shape masochist who was fit to be tied. The AAA guy asked if I had a spare tire, and I got very self-conscious. I heard that an actor who got skinny lost quite a few roles. I should have picked a hobby that involves less public rejection. I lost a weight loss competition to a friend, so as not to be a poor sport, I decided to be the bigger man. Next year, I'm going to be a judge at this competition. I am large and in charge. When my wife mentioned the hot yoga instructor, I hope with all my might that she went to a hot yoga class. I looked up transcendental meditation information. Or is that TMI? I thought my yoga course should count for flex bending. The instructor always bends the rules. I would claim to be pretty flexible, but that would be a stretch. A friend told me there was a pack of edible yoga cards that show the various poses, but I didn't believe him. I had to eat crow. I dog-eared a page in a yoga book, but I prefer to call it downward dog-eared. I know someone addicted to her pedometer. Now she's in a 12-step program. I told her to never use it again. Those were my marching orders. I gave the Fitbit to my toddler, and she had trouble figuring it out. I told her, baby steps. I have the stage presence of a software update. I want to learn about rock climbing, but there's a steep learning curve. I went to a spinning class and forgot how to do it, but then it came back to me. Just like riding a bicycle. I said to the bike salesman, give me a break. He threw me out for being rude. I just couldn't stop myself. A friend told me he was going to buy a bike, but then he backpedaled. The version of me in the car on the way here crushed. I made a bike for my Spanish friend. It's a bicycle built for two. Doesn't really work with Usted. I was nervous when I had to fight a sumo wrestler, so I was told to picture him in his underwear. When I started doing karate, I said, welcome back, kata. It was like dojo vu. It felt weird to show up to a karate social event empty-handed. A karate student pushed my elbow from behind to show I can strike faster. He wasn't pulling any punches. The sensei at the dojo is really skilled. He's really got the chops for it. I thought of starting a Kickstarter for Taekwondo Studio. Q-Tip wanted to get involved and asked me, can I kick it? I told him, yes you can. I knew a witty karate student who always beat me to the punch. A jiu-jitsu sensei tried to get me to join his dojo. I held out for a while, but in the end, he twisted my arm. I grappled with whether I should even say that joke. I'm basically speed dating an entire room that's already swiped left. I'm considering opening up a drinking establishment for MMA fighters. I'll call it the Arm Bar. I haven't been doing a lot of body conditioning lately, but I'm not about to beat myself up about it. Bruce Lee had to check people into a seminar he was giving. He was kicking ass and taking names. I'm somehow both too much and not enough. Someone with detailed knowledge of what constitutes a baseball regaled me in painstaking detail about the cork and rubber. It was very inside baseball. Am I the only one who thought 23andMe was going to be a film about Michael Moore confronting Michael Jordan? I watched a baseball how-to video on bunting that hit too close to home. I've got the swagger of someone looking for their wallet. I don't think it should be socially acceptable that baseball players get to out a lot of people. I have the emotional stability of a shopping cart with one bad wheel. My GPS device didn't take me to Fenway, but it caught me in the right ballpark. I find that I'm not as comfortable as most other guys my age calling a man Big Papi. A baseball player showed me how to throw different pitches. It was a learning curve. I've never met a social interaction I couldn't replay for 6 months. I decided to play professional baseball. The time was right for me to strike. I was hoping for some support from my parents, but it turned out they weren't going to go to bat for me. Would a ball player who throws a no-hitter necessarily have perfect pitch? I get so excited when watching baseball that I need to think about sex to cool off. At a baseball game, the bases were loaded. I think all the fans were too. The confidence is in the green room. It'll be out in a second. People call soccer football, but I get weird looks when I refer to hockey as baseball. I've made eye contact with the one person who wishes they stayed home. The greatest trick the Devils ever pulled was a hat trick. I saw a bunch of magicians playing hockey. Somebody got a hat trick, and a rabbit came out. I'm one awkward pause away from becoming an accountant. I'm creating a football fundraiser to help awkward people. It's called Squares for Squares. I was watching a football game last weekend and I couldn't help but smile when a football player's pants came down when he was knocked to the ground, and the announcer said, "That is a nice sack." The player wasn't sure if he should go home or stay in the game after that. He had too many balls in the air. Doesn't happen often, but when the Lions win the Super Bowl, do they have a pride parade? Earlier today I was running on empty. I wish empty was the name of a street. Probably best that I didn't say that out loud. Charlie Brown is probably the only person to receive multiple concussions playing touch football. As Charlie Brown continued to get more violent, Lucy upped her therapy rate from 5 cents to 10 cents. She knew what she was doing. When Celtics fans tell me they bleed green, I tell them to stop watching the game and to get to the hospital immediately. I always wanted to leave a room speechless. This isn't what I pictured. Has anybody asked Kyrie Irving if he believes the basketball is flat? I hope they're laughing internally. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. I think I still have some material that I need to work out. A day on Venus is 5,832 hours, and I thought I had a long day. I said to my kid, I think they should have picked an easier word to read for the condition than dyslexia. She said, I know. They should have an easier word to say for speech impediment, too. I think if we did drugs, we'd actually have a normal conversation. I have to get a new registration sticker to put on the back license of my car, but I have a lot on my plate right now. My confidence has left the building. When you get invited to go on a hike up a hill, and you say to the other guy, let's climax and go home, you probably won't be invited again. I guess the preferred verb is summit. Watched a skiing show last night. It was good at first, but then it went downhill. I wore my Nike Airs while using a MacBook Air and eating an Airhead. I was on cloud 9. I was going to say something controversial, but I like to err on the side of caution. I can't believe I voluntarily do this. I went to a tanning salon and the mean attendant showed her true colors. I was hoping that joke would go over better, but you guys put a wrinkle in my plan. I bought what ended up being a broken Play School sit and spin from Marketplace. I hope what goes around comes around. This joke is hanging on by a thread. So is my body. I found there are 2 types of people in this world. Those who explain everything out to a logical conclusion, and how about there are a square root of 4 types of people? Those who overcomplicate things, and those who don't. After the holiday season, I decided that it was about time to lose the spare tire. My wife thinks that's a terrible way for me to refer to an unwanted relative. Under a microscope, I had the opportunity to watch a dust mite bite the dust. Then it happened again. Another one bites the dust. Maybe Queen saw the same thing I did. The exit sign is getting more attention than I am. A Supreme Court justice had trouble protecting his kid's textbook. This reminds me, you should never cover a book by a judge. I forgot to blink sometime around joke 3. I know a guy who tried paying the surgeon in cash for conjoined triplet surgery. He was trying to cut out the middleman. I asked Bill Maher what the temperature was going to be. He said, high in the 90s. I told him I wanted the weather, not his life story. I used to have a really nice hat, but I can't think of where I put it off the top of my head. My new job makes my old job as a dog walker look like a walk in the park. I wish somebody would pull the fire alarm. I'm getting heckled by my own brain. I saw a billboard for Bulgari watches. I guess it's a sign of the times. I received the watch as a gift, and I could finally say there is no time like the present. I would think with a name like Always, the pads could be used more than once. As the British would say, that's not bloody funny. I understand that listening to period jokes from a guy gets you so angry that you're seeing red. I'm trying to get Labor Day recognized in all countries. It's a work in progress. If you guys don't start laughing soon, I'm going to keep telling jokes. A strict captain sold stockings from his boat. He ran a tight ship. I have the posture of someone apologizing for existing. My family enjoyed watching Cinderella. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. With prices out of control, I'm not sure even the devil can afford Prada anymore. I have always believed in reincarnation. It's a pre-existing condition. I went to a cartographer's convention, and I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. I had a dream that I won a large sum of money on a reality show, and when I woke up, I got a reality check. I heard of an indifferent, constipated man who couldn't give two shits. I dropped my set of trick playing cards down a sewer. That was my ace in the hole. I finally went to hang out with a friend on the docks. I need to stop giving in to peer pressure. I asked a friend to bring his tackle box when we went fishing, but he wouldn't take the bait. If you don't laugh at these fishing jokes, I'm going to give you the boot. I hate to be cliche, but is this thing on? I saw a sign on the highway for a ski mountain that read 50 runs in one day. I thought this could also work for a toilet paper ad, so I decided to take taglines or slogans and mix and match them. Trojan condoms. Just do it. At-home prostate exam kit. I'm loving it. Diaper rash cream. Think outside the bun. Hanes underwear. Don't leave home without it. Viagra. The quicker picker-upper. Subway sandwiches. Reach out and touch someone. LSD. We love to fly and it shows. Summer's Eve. The fresh maker. Oculus Rift. Let's go places. Windows 11. Drivers wanted. Jergens. You're in good hands. The next comedian is like a father to me. And by that I mean we rarely see each other, and when we do it's awkward. Put your hands together for Rich Mann. I took a test on dad jokes. It was a pop quiz. When people tell me it takes a village, I get discouraged because I live in a town. My knees made more noise walking on stage than these people. I think if you're going to wear pants that sag low on you, you should have gotten them half off. I don't need a manager, I need someone to remind me why I walked into this room. I'm 50 now, and I've been very nostalgic lately of my childhood. I went to visit my old school roughly 40 years later. Whoever said I'm living in the past can kiss my Z Cavaricis. I used to eat Gremlin cereal as a kid. I have to admit, when the box got low, I'd sprinkle some water in there to make more. $2.39 a box lasted me 10 years. I'm not saying my childhood was uncultured, but I grew up using the same fork for the salad and entree, and for the ice cream sandwich. I passed a sign today that said, "Drive as if your kids lived here." I don't think that would have caused my parents to slow down at all. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo is more scientific and predictable than I was led to believe as a child. Sometimes when you go digging into your family tree too much, the police chase you out of the cemetery. Ironically, as a kid, I was forced to see a school production on bullying. They sat me down and made me watch. My mom used to put inspirational notes in my school lunch, and I ate it up. My mother used to cram high C into my lunchbox. That lady could pack a punch. I'm doing comedy because therapy was more expensive. In high school, I was so unpopular and unknown that I was voted most likely to be in the wrong school building. My wife said I need a hobby. Apparently annoying strangers counts. My coach told me there is no I in team. I told him there is no I in anophthalmia syndrome. I got sent home. Pro tip, if you don't have any book covers or paper bags, you can cover a textbook with a CVS receipt. My smartwatch asked if I was exercising. I was just getting off the couch. While attending an open house at my school, my father looked around, turned to my mother and whispered, "What a dump! How does any learning happen here?" Then he remembered his kids were homeschooled, and he was sitting in his own living room. I was homeschooled, and when we moved, I was traumatized about switching schools. My back hurts from carrying groceries and emotional baggage. My parents taught me. Whenever we heard Hut for Teacher on the car radio, it just made things super uncomfortable. It was also awkward when I asked that my teacher be Cory checked. And of course, there was the time that my mom was running late, so I waited for 5 minutes before reporting to study hall, aka the family room. I still can't believe I was forced to pay for lunch. My parents got a bumper sticker made that read, "My kid was a salutatorian at our homeschool." When we switched to a mobile home, I considered myself a Rhodes Scholar. Then my parents switched the bumper sticker to say, "My kid was the salutatorian here." Every test I got was a take-home exam. At the prom, they played Dancing with Myself on loop. They brought in a Metco student to help diversify the classroom. I asked a lot of questions in sex ed. After not getting the answers I was looking for regarding masturbation, I decided to take matters into my own hands. In college, I started dating. I used to date a woman who worked at a superglue factory. She had a hard time letting go. I dated a mermaid for a while, but then decided there were other fish in the sea. I went with a girlfriend to an Amish baseball game once. We decided to go Dutch. I can't believe people paid money to hear a guy who gets excited about a new vacuum. I remember dating an ornithologist years ago and asking her why birds suddenly appeared every time she was near. I thought one day we'd be empty nesters together. She only knew about birds, so I had to teach her about the birds and the bees. She ended up dating another ornithologist. Birds of a feather and all that. I should have stretched before this. While dating, I bought condoms and was asked if I wanted them double-bagged. What an upsell. My back goes out more than I do. On a date once, a young woman told me my smile was infectious. When I looked in the mirror, I noticed I had a cold sore on my bottom lip. I think trash men must have the best pickup lines. I'm really bad at pickup lines. My go-to one was, "Are you afraid of being attacked? Because you've been running around in my mind all day." Occasionally I'd mix it up and go with, "Can I interest you in a pizza and a f***? What's the matter? You don't like your odds of catching one of my many, many STDs? I used to worry about bombing. Now I worry about being home before bedtime. In the bedroom, my safe word is harder. I'm not very good at this. I'm the only comedian who needs a snack break during his own set. I broke up with somebody with multiple personalities. I told her, "It's not you, it's you." Before she met me, my wife had a trophy husband. In some states, you can marry anything. I thought I was going to get married on a plane because I was told to marry up. For the bachelor party, we went to a topless bar. It was just a bar without a roof. My favorite hobby is canceling plans. I wanted to get my childhood rabbi to marry us, but he wasn't available, and my bride wasn't into polygamy anyway. I lost my wedding band. They were supposed to be there at 6. My in-laws are the salt of the earth, but my doctor told me I need to cut down on sodium. I have a body built for carrying groceries in one trip. I think the ring in the Lord of the Rings movie is based on my wedding ring, because ever since I put it on, I feel invisible. We've settled into married life and started doing things that families do. My wife wanted to take me out to dinner. My response? It's not one of those fancy restaurants where you need socks, is it? And I know she's my soulmate because she said, "I hope not, because I'm not wearing anything from the waist down." I've reached the age where I hurt myself sleeping correctly. I have a sweet tooth, just one, so I have to angle the sweets just right to get back there and only touch the right tooth. My wife hates watching me eat. My sofa is so comfortable that for bad behavior, I'm forced to sleep in bed with my wife. My wife is bilingual. When we play the game of telephone in my household, my wife whispers in my ear, "Press 1 for English, 2 for Spanish." I did no shave November this year. My wife told me I needed to shave by the end of the day on December 1st, but I didn't make the cutoff. I used to be spontaneous. Now I say things like, let's see how traffic looks. My wife told me our friends are redoing their kitchen. I said, well, they use their kitchen. I would maybe redo the side of my car where the takeout window is. When my wife got pregnant with our first, I was tasked with buying a breast shield that was being held at Target, and the employee in customer service wanted to make sure it was the right size. The female employee said, what size are her breasts? I was caught off guard and wasn't sure how to answer, as the sizes are listed as small, medium, and large, etc. I just started cupping my hands. I've been going back to Target at least once a week to buy personal items at customer service. It's gotten expensive, but dirty charades is so much fun. My wife gets her clothes altered at a place with a quick turnaround time. I call it Taylor Swift. I asked the tailor to remove some lint from some clothes, but he told me to just shake it off. Shake it off. I call my kid's birthday her gotcha day because it commemorates the first time I said, gotcha nose. When I went to pick up my wife's clothes at the tailor, the lady there wanted to verify I was getting the right order and asked if my wife was a short woman. I never really thought of my wife like that, so I just started cupping my hands again. I decided to go to a different tailor. I cut all ties. The whole time I was hemming and hawing, but mostly hemming. I'm just trying to hold it together. My wife asked me to buy some bras for her, and I made it to the store just under the wire. At least I think that's how it happened, if memory serves me correctly. I should get the SAG award for this. I brought a bib to breastfeeding class, just in case there are free samples. When my wife feeds the baby at the end of the night, I like to make an announcement for last call. My infant fell asleep while eating and woke up cranky. She woke up on the wrong side of the breast. I've been going to work with spit up on my shirt, and most of it is from my daughter. I have jokes. I also have 3 different kinds of diaper wipes in my car. I was curious to know if having 2 white noise machines in a baby's room would cancel each other out. Consequently, white noise was my nickname in college. I found that the only ones worse at their job than weather forecasters are the people who place sizes on children's clothes. My biggest heckler lives in my house and calls me Dada. As a new dad, I hate when people make recommendations when you don't ask. Don't be someone who offers unsolicited advice. See what I did there? My baby was sensitive about her age. As she turned 2, she preferred to think of herself as one with 1 year of experience. I'm not surprised that even the 80s show That's Incredible didn't even have an episode where a parent was able to button the shirt of a toddler as she ran away. My baby can get out of a swaddle in 3.2 seconds. Even Houdini took 5.7 seconds. I went to 3 different stores to try to find a swaddle that would hold her. No luck. My wife said it wasn't worth losing sleep over. My daughter is such a party pooper, and anywhere else she wants to go. I kept a porta potty in the back of my Honda Odyssey. I felt pretty affluent driving a minivan with a half bath. I used to have my kids run around every night when they were toddlers. Then I remembered you're not supposed to sweat the small stuff. When there is a drought, it's important to reuse water. I've learned not to throw the bath water out with the baby. I remember when I blamed my first fart on the baby. It was bad. No one believed me. I dropped a deuce while wearing a baby and a Bjorn. The trick is to not have the baby fall out the top when you bend over to wipe yourself. A couple of you know exactly what I'm talking about. We've all done it. We just usually don't tell the spouses. I broke dad code. My kids think I know everything. ChatGPT and I have an arrangement. The other day I got halfway to work and realized I was listening to a CD of nursery rhymes. I switched to the radio for a few moments, and then back to the nursery rhymes. Is it wrong of me to refer to my wife's breast pumps as the boob tube? I saw a new mother laugh so hard that milk came out her nose and breasts. My baby's the only one in my household who has home-cooked meals. My baby prefers fresh squeezed to concentrate. Not sure if I should be flattered or insulted when the baby sees my chest and asks for milk. Who am I to deny my daughter? We tried all morning. We moved on to solid foods. I fed my daughter with the "here comes the airplane" routine, but with my attention to detail, it took quite a long time. I needed photo identification, and everybody had to take off his or her shoes. I think we can all agree that if you're in a car seat, you definitely shouldn't be barking orders. When the light turned green, my toddler in the back yells, "Go, Dada!" I said, "It's a red light, and you don't even know the color red." I take solace in knowing one day she'll be yelling at a driverless car. I bought a rocking horse for my daughter at Costco, and the cashier yelled at me when I put the cart before the, well, you know. When I made it to the front of the line, the cashier told me to pony up. My daughter told me she liked alphabet soup in the blender one day. But then, not another day. I kept getting mixed messages. She liked to talk into her toy phone. I used to answer it and pretend it was my proctologist trying to change an appointment, while I yelled into the phone 3 different reasons why it was imperative I keep the appointment. The room usually went silent. I read Potty Time with Elmo to my child. Why would they choose a red character for this? You can't tell when he's training. I watched the potty training video with my kids. It was a real shit show. The show didn't make as big of a splash as the producers had hoped. My kid asked me to read Everybody Poops to her 8 times, and boy am I wiped. It's all fun and games till someone drops a deuce in the tub. Having kids is just paying to lose arguments to tiny people. I told my daughter that it's important to dress for the job you want, but she continues to run around the house naked. I hope she doesn't end up in adult movies. You know your kid is accident prone when she has a favorite ice pack. She plays with it as if it's one of her dolls. She's my ice baby. Dad bods are in? Sweet. I've been rocking this bad boy since way before I was a dad. Does that make me a trendsetter? I almost bought a figurine of Henry Heimlich today, but I feared it would be a choking hazard. I thought I was good at jiu-jitsu until I tried holding my toddler down to wipe her nose. I've learned that when in doubt, assume all the thermometers in your house are rectal thermometers. Except maybe the giant forehead thermometer. You don't make that mistake twice. My toddler only speaks about 15 words. All her talk is small talk. I came up with that one while I was changing a diaper. I caught my toddler gnawing on a book the other day. I took the words right out of her mouth. She is a voracious reader. She just devours books. It turns out books are not kosher, which confuses me because Jews are known as the people of the book. My 3-year-old said, "Dada, you're a boy, and I don't like boys." We've gone from the terrible 2s to the sexist 3s. I made my kid laugh so hard once she peed herself, but she's only 3 months old, so that may have not had anything to do with me. I often feel like little grasshopper being given an impossible task from the show Kung Fu. The other day I had to figure out how to get the fortune out of a cookie without breaking it because my child will have a tantrum due to the paper in there, but will also have a tantrum if you break the cookie. Instead of a bumper sticker bragging about my kid's academic achievements, I may have to get a "My toddler has eaten more Shopkins than yours." Last night I couldn't sleep a wink. I had a 3-year-old in my bed who kept kicking me. I should probably just let her go home to her parents. My kids think I'm hilarious, but they've only ever met 6 people. I asked my daughter where pineapples come from. She told me under the sea. #curse you, SpongeBob. If you read your kids, if you give a mouse a cookie, chances are they'll ask you to read it again. My biggest audience is my kids' stuffed animals when I test jokes. They laugh louder than you guys. I've been reading to my kids a lot lately, and I've got a question. Why does the big, bad wolf try to blow the pigs' houses down? There's got to be a better way to take down a dwelling. My daughter took a test on rainbows and passed it with flying colors. I caught my daughter talking to her Gumby doll this morning. She was really bending his ear. I had to twist her arm to stop. I cut up some alpha tots for my kids, but I don't like to mince my words. My Mickey Mouse pancakes are so on point I'm going to have to pay royalties. Although some of my pancakes came out goofy. My kids had me buy cereal made entirely of shapes. There are no words. I'm waiting for my child to ask why Life cereal has no toy in it, and then I can tell her, that's life. If the Quaker Oats Company ever closes, it will be the end of life as we know it. Based on what she sees, I'm surprised that when my toddler cooks in her pretend kitchen, that she doesn't just microwave everything. The tooth fairy always has to be on his game in my house, as my kid often switches beds in the middle of the night. I came to realize that a huge part of my baby's income in her first years came from the tooth fairy. I'm glad she pays taxes on that while she is in such a low tax bracket. Can't wait to watch some more reels about puns when this is over. When your kid starts a performance with, "Dada, you see there's nothing in my butt, right?" you know you're in for an awesome magic show. I turned my head for a moment, and she somehow produced a whole bagel. And now I know where marble bagels come from. For her birthday, I bought a number 3 candle from a third-party seller. Thank you. Gotta run. Elizabeth Shue is babysitting my kids. Good night. I think Linens and Things would have fared better as a business if they led with things. I just laughed out quietly. LOQ. I shouldn't have eaten that burrito. This is exactly what my high school guidance counselor predicted. At least I'm giving everyone a story. If charisma were a group project, I'd be the guy who forgot. Maybe this awkwardness is my brand. My abs were stronger back when MSNBC used to tell me to lean forward, and Fat Joe used to tell me to lean back. They're looking at me like I interrupted their dinner. That's funny. I was happy to receive a receipt when I bought some register paper rolls. It was like a worldly and well-traveled cousin receipt had come home to visit the unsophisticated receipt paper. They didn't have much to talk about. If charisma were calories, I'd be on a diet. Hehehe, that's a good joke. When I was a kid, being told you play pocket pool was an insult. Now it's basically an app. Due to all the sugar in a high C, I couldn't concentrate and could only expect at best to get a high C as a grade in class. My jokes were so bad that when I was dating, women didn't have to ask me if I wanted kids. They already knew I was born a dad because of my jokes. My wife and I play a game of what I like to call trash can topple, where we keep adding trash to the bin hoping it won't fall to the floor so we won't have to empty it. If I were to lift the toilet seat up and just see a number 2 staring back at me from one of my kids, that would be disturbing enough. But there was no toilet paper in there. Give me serenity. I told a friend and he said maybe it was a clean break. I said no, that's just a myth, like the female orgasm. I asked my wife if she could put some money under my daughter's pillow. She said, "Sure. Do I need to take the tooth?" I said, "Yes, you went to the same parenting class as I did." I used to chase dreams, now I chase kids who forget their shoes. I used to be spontaneous, now I need a calendar invite. I'm the guy who says, "back in my day," and then forgets what happened. I make dad noises now. Every time I stand up, my body files a complaint. Being a parent means hiding in the kitchen to eat one more cookie in peace. Who doesn't like a good zinger? Oh, that's a good one. I love being a dad. My kids are the best. All right, if nobody's gonna laugh, then I'll laugh.